book club with the boys.
Why you took all the mouse pad?
Here, you can have the
There's significantly more
The
stuff
boys
on
are
this
back in
side of
town. The boys are back in town.
This was a horrible mistake.
Welcome back to Talking Story. Hey, my name is John Minton. This right here, live and in person for Book Club with the Boy, is my literary wingman, the one son, the child of happiness, the best producer on BookTube, the scion to the Talking Story throne.
There's too many titles.
It's a lot.
You hit me and I'm scared.
Yeah, that's how this is going to start. I have my score, Book Club with the Boys.
I have my score.
Now, you lost a bet.
I did. It happens often.
So we had to read some Cornell Woolrich. That was your losing situation.
And this was your selections. What you picked this book out for both of us.
I did. I picked it out. I brought it in for both of us. And we have now read a little bit of Cornell Woolrich, one of the cornerstones of noir. You now have under your belt.
I do.
So what we're going to do is we're going to break it down through our 5 categories.
Okay.
And we're going to see what we think.
I've never done this before, I don't think.
This might be your first time, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've technically done a review before, but I've never broken it down into stars.
Don't show me.
Did you see it?
No. I'm not going to show you mine either. Stop it. You're breaking the rules. Okay, look. So the way this works is we're going to go world building.
Yep.
Character, plot, pace, prose.
Yes.
Each one of these categories can get a quarter star to a full star. At the end, we're going to add that up, and we're going to see how we felt about the book.
That is correct.
So, you ready? You ready to get into this?
I'm ready.
First of all, let me just ask.
Okay.
Let me just ask.
Yeah.
Are you happy you read it? Are you happy you lost the bet?
No.
Really? You're not even going to go that much?
Maybe. I mean, okay. Book not bad. I'm not going to say book good. I'm going to say book not bad.
Well, okay. All right.
How about you? Are you happy with your selection?
There are some things I loved about it.
I would agree with that.
And for me, it's a couple hundred pages. It took me 2.5, 3 days.
Yeah.
I mean, for the time I spent with it to kind of go back and get some noir sensibilities, I'm very happy I spent the time with it. It was fun. I mean, I'm not going to blow my score, but I'll go with that.
Book not bad.
Not bad. I'm going to go with that. You start us off. So let's start off with world or world building.
I mean, okay. It's a noir thriller.
Yes.
In the way...
Mystery.
Mystery. Yeah. Mystery is a better way to put it, because it's not dark and seedy like maybe the word noir brings to mind. Like you think like chiaroscuro cinematography. It's not that dark, I don't think. There's not a lot of world building to be had. I wouldn't say. I would say more of the things that I would think about that I would attribute to, that's good world building, should really be attributed to the category of prose, of just the way that the world is described. So I went for a half star on world building.
Really? You're going half star?
I'm going half star.
Okay. Here's where I'm going to differ from you.
Okay. I have a feeling you're about to change my mind.
Well, as you say, like description.
Right.
Could be in prose.
Mm-hmm.
But the description is the world building. He didn't create a world from wholesale cloth. Absolutely true. But the style in which he created this world, there were times where I could hear my feet splash on the wet asphalt. I could hear the buzz of the neon when I walked by Anselmo's bar. I could feel that red glow as it came through. I could see the smoke spiral up from the booths inside that bar. There were towards the end, the headlights of the car in the final scene.
Right.
You could see them cutting through. All of that was because of the sensibilities and the place that he put me in, the world that he built, the stylized world that he built. It was our world. He didn't have to create it from whole cloth. But he created it in such a way that more than just one of my 5 senses were going and feeling it and seeing it and hearing it and smelling it. So I think he did a great job of creating a fully realized place, transporting me to it, and then having the characters interact in and amongst and around it. I gave a full star for world building because not only did it give me a sense of place, it was a very specific sense of style and visual element to that place that I pictured while I was in the book.
See, now here's where we're going to run into a slight problem. I wrote this down in a matter of about 4 seconds before we started recording.
And so did I.
So I'm gonna change my score.
We go get a pin. If you're gonna change, you gotta go get a pin.
I'll remember.
All right, go get a pin.
I'll remember it.
No.
Here's what I'm gonna say.
It's an official change.
Oh Jesus.
You have to get the pin.
All right.
Okay. While he's gone, we're gonna talk about him. Okay, he's back already. All right. What are you officially changing? You were at a half star.
I'm gonna add a quarter star, so it'll be a 3/4 star instead of a half. Here's why.
Yeah.
And you reminded me of something that I was talking about on a previous, I think, Weekly Reader that we were talking about.
Yeah, we mentioned while we were reading it.
The thing that I really love about this world is the way that he lets you inhabit it yourself.
Absolutely.
I think the whole time that I was reading this book, I think this is one of the few books I've read that I thought this may make a better movie than a book.
Because you can see it.
Exactly.
Right?
I think part of the reason is that the way that he lays out a scene is that he lays out the scene.
Yes.
He doesn't necessarily tell you where to look or why. He just creates an environment and lets you decide where you're going to put the camera in your mind, who you're going to be looking at, and when. He lets you fill in all of those
what you find important
blanks.
as far as clues as you move through the world. But he does create that. I mean, it is.
He does.
His canvas is full. He does do that.
It is.
Yeah.
He's very good at it. And in a way that made me want to shoot some of the scenes in the book.
Absolutely. I would love to do that with you.
So I would bump it up to another quarter star on that, make it 3/4 star. However, as far as the world goes, and this is a spoiler for later things, there were some things about the world that did not make sense to me. So I'm going to keep a quarter star off for that.
That's fair. That's fair. Although I think that should be plot, but I'll give it to you.
I agree.
You bump it up to 3/4 star. I feel like I did my job.
Okay, then that's fair.
Okay. All right. So
thank you for correcting my score.
just a quick break in the action to thank all of our correspondents, directors, and producers on Patreon. These people keep the lights on. They make decisions for us because we don't know what we're doing. We're not great at making the decisions around here. The decisions all the way from what I'm going to read next, what the book club of the month Patreon pick is going to be, but all the way up to video ideas and what we're going to do here on the channel coming up for you. If you're interested or you want to find out how you can be a part of this, right down there in the description box, click the Patreon link. It's got all the answers for you. And once again, thank you to all of these fine people that are helping us build the channel, our correspondents, directors, and producers. So next, this is all. We have to do this more. Okay.
We do.
Next is character.
Yeah.
What do you feel about characters in this world? How did he people it? How did he cast it? How did he do for you?
Are we going into I assume we're going into spoilers.
We got to do a little bit of spoilers. Maybe you can put up a little spoiler before we do that.
I think you just said it right now.
Full spoilers from here on.
Full spoilers.
Because we can't. I mean, not a lot of people have. You know what? If you just want to watch shenanigans and you never think you're going to read this, what the heck? Hang around.
Sure. I don't even know that I'd recommend it to everybody, so feel free.
Absolutely. I feel kind of the same way.
Yeah. So, spoilers, I thought some of these characters were really dumb. They got on my nerves. I did not like a lot of these characters.
Look, it's fair to have dumb characters.
It is. And by dumb, I don't mean, oh, they're dumb as a person and therefore they're annoying. Like, no, there were, especially the chapters dealing with the... Oh man, I can't even remember her name. That should say something.
Yeah.
Scott Henderson's partner that's not his wife. His mistress.
His mistress. They called her the girl.
They called her the girl,
yeah.
Which I thought was a little demeaning. But
let's go.
It's the 40s. I understand.
Yeah, exactly. So you probably spot on. It probably is a bit demeaning.
Probably.
But they did call her. A lot of the chapters were just called the girl that followed her.
But man, she just had she had a lot of screen time for someone that had very few things to do.
Not a lot of agency.
Yeah. And on top of that, the Lombard, the man who is investigating to try and set his best friend who is on death row free and crack the case. There were so many things that did not add up to me about his motivations. Even, spoilers, at the end of the book when it's revealed that he's the killer, I was still
Wait,
finding
big spoiler.
myself. It's a big spoiler.
Yeah.
But I was still finding myself looking back and going like, man, you just
Maybe wait for plot for that one. You're not good at this.
No, I have opinions about this book, and I want to
Okay.
get into them right now.
Hit me with them.
I just there were many things about Lombard that just did not make sense to me.
Didn't add up for you.
Yeah, just motivationally. Like I understand, I don't want to get into plot and the grievances I had there, but the motivations of why Lombard would get into some of the things that he did.
Sure.
Even with the retrospect looking back with the new motivation that we discover by the end of the book, still didn't make sense to me, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a half star with character.
So you're going, yeah, okay. What I think I hear you saying is, as far as tracking character motivation, you had big holes.
Yes.
It's like, what? I just don't see it. It was
Yes.
almost as if, and this is kind of where I come into play as well. I'm kind of right with you.
Okay, cool.
It's almost like I need this piece on this part of the board by this point for my threads to pull together. So I'm just gonna get them there.
Yeah, and explain it later.
And or not even explain it later. So where I run into problems with this is I think it's very much part and parcel of its genre. When you start thinking about noir, a lot of these characters for me were archetypes. We've got
For sure, yes.
we've got the victim, we've got the investigators, we've got the femme fatale or the girl. We and we don't ever get much deeper than that. We don't really understand these people in any type of 3 dimensions or a fully realized way of why they would do that thing. What would get them there to the board? Because we don't have any background. We don't have, everything is very, very thin. Everything is very, very veneer. And that's where I come up with a problem. For characters, it's an interesting use of archetype. It's an interesting use of using them as game pieces and getting him where he needs them to be for this plot to pull together when he needs them to be there. But I found them to be unsatisfyingly thin.
Yeah, I would say that is the most true with the Phantom Lady herself, which is just kind of explained as she's crazy.
Yeah.
She don't remember too good.
And that was it. I mean, that's that femme fatale archetype.
It
right?
is, that they don't get a lot to do.
Right, but I'm going to go characters. What did you give characters?
I gave a half.
Oh, I gave a quarter.
You went lower than I did.
I went lower because, again, this is a product of its time, and it's a very specific genre that
I think that's why I kept it at a half.
elicits a certain type of visual and a certain type of storytelling.
Yes.
And it does all of those things. But when it comes to the category of character in more of our time of what I want from a story and what I want to be able to follow those emotional motivations and understand how they got there because I understand where they came from, all of that for me was void.
I think that's why I give it a half. I was a little more forgiving with, it's the times, you're not going to give the women a lot to do. You're going to use archetypes because that's the genre, but just the lack of motivation really got to me.
See, I mean, now looking at should I change? You're going to make me
Am I going to make you change yours? I'll get you a pen. I have a pen. Here's a pen.
No, I'm going to keep it at a quarter. I was that disappointed. I was that disappointed in the character.
That's fair.
Because I have read some other
Cornell Woolridge stuff?
Not necessarily Cornell Woolridge, but I have read some other noir things, Dashiell Hammett and some others that I felt did not come down here for me on characters. There was more. It was more fleshed out. I was able to follow those emotional motivations easier because I understood in more 3 dimensions of that person.
That's fair.
So I understand your take, but I'm not going to change.
That's completely understandable.
Okay. So let's go to plot.
Let's go to plot.
Now let's break it down for a minute because we really haven't said. This is The Phantom Lady by Cornell Woolridge. We should have maybe said that from the beginning.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's too late now.
It's way too late.
We're well into spoiler talk, so I don't know.
Spoiler talk.
I hope you've read it by now.
So this man has an argument with his wife, takes off after the argument, and just meets a complete stranger in a bar and goes, you know what? I had reservations for dinner and a show with my wife, but that all went to heck. So you and me, I don't want to know your name. I don't know anything about you. And
Yep.
she completely agrees. I don't want to know anything about you either, but I'll have dinner and a show. So they go off and they spend this evening together. And by the time he gets back to his place after midnight, it's filled with some police officers and his wife was killed.
Strangled to death with his own tie.
Strangled to death with his tie.
Yeah.
So obviously, he gets blamed. He gets on death row. And then he has a friend of his that has taken a job in the South America in the oil industry to try, while he's locked up, to try and come and figure out the case for him.
Who's the killer? Because we're in spoiler talk.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So that's the broad strokes, right?
Yeah, that's the broad stroke. Basically, the idea is that the only way to get this guy off death row is to find this phantom lady that it seems to be unfindable because that's his only alibi, that he was not at the apartment when his wife was murdered.
Right. He was with this woman who he didn't even get the name.
Yes.
And when he started retracing his steps with the police officers that were in his apartment when he got back,
They all said, I have no idea who you're talking about.
the maitre d', the waiter, the person that took his ticket at the theater, the bartender. You were by yourself, man. I didn't even see you with a woman. I have no idea what you're talking about. Like
Yeah.
you start to question he starts to question himself, his own sanity
he
of
does.
what's going
Yeah.
on. And then our case is up and rolling.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the broad strokes. You tell me where you ranked it. What do you think? What did you think of this caper?
I see in the 4 seconds that I took to write this down, I gave it a half star. And through talking up to now, I feel like I may have to bump that down to a quarter.
You think so?
Maybe. I don't know. Let me talk and find out.
Okay, do it. Do it. I'll listen.
See, I enjoyed a lot of the investigation until we got into the POV of Lombard and the girl.
Yeah.
When it was just Scott Henderson trying to work things out with the police, I thought that was by far the most captivating parts of the story.
I would agree with that. Because
yeah.
we started to almost have our first three-dimensional character.
Of Scott.
No.
Burgess.
Of Burgess, the one police officer that won't give up. That starts to
Yes.
think, this something just doesn't sit right with me.
That you could even tell at the time that they were talking. Not even when he comes back later and says, hey, I think you might be right. Maybe you should call your friend to investigate this. Like, even on the night, they're having an interesting talk because all the other police officers just kind of writing Scott Henderson off. Like, oh, this dude did it.
Yeah, no
Burgess
doubt.
is the only one in the room almost trying to help him.
Absolutely trying to help him.
Yeah.
And then he comes back later and says, you know what? You don't want a cop that's overworked and I got so many cases going. You want someone that really cares about you. Do you have a friend that could start beating the pavement and pounding the bushes to try and figure out what happened to you? But I thought, wow, okay, I'm starting to see a character in Burgess because he won't let it go. It won't sit well with him. He has a sense of justice. And I wanted to know where that sense of justice came from.
Yeah,
What
and
happened in
then-
his past? How did he lose it on this job? What's brought him to that? We got none of that.
And then Burgess disappeared.
And then Burgess disappears. Yeah.
For about 150 pages.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think that the large majority of the plot that was really just Lombard and the girl rehashing the steps of the night that Scott was out with the Phantom Lady was really droning on to a point that we'll talk about later in pace, but it was just like, okay, let's move on. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
Please, let's move on.
Yeah.
And then when we finally do move on, and it's time for all the pieces to come together, they didn't quite come together for me.
Yeah.
In a way-
this is plot. Why did they not? Like
Exactly.
at the end, what happened? Like what didn't you buy at the end?
Well, there were, some of them were just like physics things, right? That like one of the things was that Lombard killed a woman who it just had to be so perfectly timed that she was standing by this railing in a specific way so that he could kick out this rug so that she would topple over perfectly
Off
right
the
at
balcony.
the exact moment that he
Yeah.
needed her to, so that the bellhop outside in the hall didn't hear him.
Yeah.
And he had to do the specific thing with the... It's just like, dude, this is a book. This is 243 pages of coincidence.
Yeah, yeah. And it's yes. I was going to say something, but it's your time. So
No, please. Which can be cool. Like, coincidence can be cool, especially in noir. I'm sure you could find a way to spin that and make it like, oh, wow, this guy just fell through every green light on his way to being able to get away with this, but it didn't quite come together in a way for me that was enjoyable.
Yeah.
It just felt like we were kind of being dragged through the story.
I would. Well, what did you?
Oh, so
If you're done, I'm sorry.
No, I was just talking through things. I wrote down half a star. I think I'll still give it half a star, just because that beginning there with Scott and Burgess and all the other police officers was just really hitting for me. The first about like 70 pages for this book were really top tier for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I agree with almost everything you said. Like, I liked the beginning more so. Then when we got into Lombard showing up from South America, I'm so glad you called me, buddy. I'm going to count on me.
Right, yeah.
I'm going to go figure out what's going on. And then he starts retracing these steps of everywhere he went. And it seems like every time he gets somebody to drop a dime, every time he gets somebody to say, well, you know what? I do remember.
I was just paid not to.
I do remember. I was just paid not to. Right? Some horrible thing would happen to that person. Like, as soon as they get to that point.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, I chalk that up to, the idea of, look, in this crazy world, we're just a bunch of pinballs ricocheting off of each other. Chaos is unchecked. There's that coincident aspect you said about it.
Yeah.
That's where I was trying to chalk it up in that area to try and keep the noir feelings going.
I kind of figured he was killing them.
Well, look, it was one and two people, right? Because
Yeah.
Lombard's out there on the street trying to find what's going on.
Yeah.
And then as soon as Lombard finds somebody that's willing to say,
Yeah.
I was kind of paid off, but between me and you, stay right here. I'm going to run down to the payphone and call Burgess, right?
Yeah.
And in that time, by the time they get back, whoever that person was,
They're dead.
they're dead. They've checked
Yeah.
out. So it's either Burgess, when he gets the phone call, doing the end around and killing that person, or it's Lombard. Like, it's there.
Those are also your two characters that
Or the
are...
girl. It could be the girl,
It
but
could be
she's
the
not
girl.
really in there following him around.
No.
Like, you don't really have that many characters for the whodunit to really work.
Yeah.
Because any of these three that it could possibly be, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get a satisfying resolution from any of the three.
Yeah.
Is where I came in.
See, which I think was even also part of the disappointing reveal of who the Phantom Lady actually was. Because
Yeah.
part of me thought, there's going to be some cool workaround of how it could be the
Exactly.
mistress.
By the end, when we finally meet,
The mistress is the only other girl in this story.
Right.
Like, maybe she's the Phantom Lady, and it
Right.
turns out, it's just some random lady
it's just some random lady. And
that happens to have really horrible memory.
Random is an absolute theme in this.
Yes.
What you say, the coincidence, the chaotic, what I would call
Chaotic, sure. Yeah.
The random it's a definite theme about we are not in control of our destiny. We can get in this once the drain catches you and you're in that spiral. Here's a whole list of things that's going to happen that just do nothing but suck you down.
Which I think could be...
Which could be really cool.
Which could be really cool. I'm trying to think of how you could make that a more interesting plot.
Well,
I don't think I have ideas.
I think it all revolves around the titular Phantom Lady. It was just such a ball drop at the end by, it's just this random person that...
Which also, like
why?
We'll get into this in pace, but like it was legit 20 pages of explaining how Lombard did all of this, and then 1 page of who the Phantom
Lady.
the Phantom Lady.
Yeah. So look, I'm right with you. Plot, I gave half a star.
Okay, cool. We both did half.
So we both did half. I did appreciate the random chaotic theme. I did appreciate these people caught in this crazy world, in this city, at this time, in this window of happenstance that they cannot get themselves out of, that they cannot control. Their destiny is not their own. I enjoyed all of that. A lot of that worked for me. But I think if we could have delved deeper into the characters, given them an emotional weight and background that would explain to them why they were doing the things that they were doing, I think this could have really paid off.
Completely agree.
And I just felt so many of those balls that were being juggled just dropped for me.
Yeah, I agree. Or just never came down to begin with.
Oh, yeah. Never came down. Okay. So we're at Pace. And you have said several times you have something to say about Pace.
Yeah.
And you finished this book this morning.
I finished this book. What time is it?
It is 4:23.
I finished this book 6 hours ago.
So it's fresh on your mind.
It is fresh on my mind.
But it did not put. It did look. This
No.
book did not call you back,
No.
saying, "Oh, come, oh, you have to know what happens.
This
You've got to
book-
know what these people do." Didn't do that.
This book pushed me away.
Yeah. So the pace.
I wrote down half a star. I'm gonna.
Well, look, it's not a thick book.
I know.
And
I
if
know.
the first 70 pages were
Here's the thing,
the
is
top tier
that
you're talking about.
This book is I think 243 pages, 240 pages.
Something like that.
I think this book could have been like 175 pages.
Or it could have been about 320 if we'd have got more
characters,
more
Sure.
character,
Yeah.
and a tighter resolution from those emotional motivations of the character.
Here was the most frustrating thing to me about the pace of this book. I put your book down. Sorry about that.
Wait, feel free.
There, and I think you'll agree with me on this. Any of the sections that had the girl
Yeah.
went on for way too long.
I would have loved those sections. If those sections would have explained to me who the girl is and why she found herself as a homewrecker. Because
If we got backstory.
She's a
Yes.
mistress.
Yes.
Is she fine with that? Is she not fine with that?
Yeah.
What background led her here? How trapped does she feel?
How and why is she getting involved with this investigation? Does she feel some type of honor or respect to
Right.
Scott that she owes it to him? Or
All these things. Like, if we could have spent time in character background, I would have been okay with even more pages. But it was strictly a plot that wasn't gelling or coming together. And I think that's part of the genre is he left so many questions that are supposed to be niggling at you the right way, but they just didn't.
They didn't.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what makes me think that this book would be better as a movie. And I think there is a movie of this book. I'll have to watch it. But I thought it was quite interesting to have chapters where he doesn't necessarily list who you're following at the moment.
Mhm.
Especially if it's like from the POV of the girl and you're following the girl for the first time. It's like, who's the girl?
Right.
And you're going for 2 pages trying to figure out who the girl
that
is.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool and interesting. And I thought, we could, you could use your camera to like hide her face in the shadows and her motivation is not clear. And now it's clear. Now I understand. Now we're moving with the plot. This is cool. But that now this is happening moment never came.
Right.
It was just a slow realization over the course of 5 pages. Oh, this girl's the mistress. And there was no payoff for that. It
Right.
was just, you were just greeted by another 15 pages of her, I'm not exaggerating, staring at a man for 15 pages until he finally breaks down and says, yeah, I saw the Phantom Lady. It's like, that did not need to be 15 pages long in a book this short.
Yeah.
There's no way.
You could, interestingly enough, and I agree with you. I think this could make a really cool flick.
Yeah.
And in a flick, you could do some time cuts to where that is compressed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This
Then there were many times I was reading through the book going, this would be a montage instead of
Yeah.
a whole chapter.
her dogged pursuit of the person that holds the key of what really happened. It was the bartender
Right. Yeah.
who served this woman, and the guy drinks at the beginning of this evening that they set out on. And she goes on a dogged pursuit of him and will not let up and will not let go and follows him home and stands outside his window. And like, it's a trifle character building that she does love Scott enough to where she doesn't let go. Like she keeps doggedly pursuing this person. So there was part of that I could dig. And I do think it would be very interesting in a visual medium because you could compress it.
You could. But my thing is that you were never given she's just in it for the love of Scott, and that's why she's so pursuant about you. You were never given any of that.
I'm making a leap there because they never, that's me bringing that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel confident saying it because I can't in my rationale I can't come up with any other reason.
Yeah.
But you're right. There were no scenes of conversation between her and Scott, or her and Lombard, or her and Burgess, or any of these other people that were investigating and retracing the steps of
Yeah.
what she was doing and why.
I do think that the mistress and Scott actually speak to each other
They do
in one scene.
And she does speak to Burgess during this dogged pursuit. Like Burgess says, you may be getting close, know when to let up.
Yeah. Watch him for one more day, then he'll break.
But that could have been such a longer conversation of
It could have been, and it would have been so much, and the stars on character would have gone up if that were true as well.
Exactly. Why he set her out to do this? How does he feel about putting her in danger? How does she feel about being out there undercover? Is it love that makes her do this? None of those things were answered. It was just, again, the veneer of a character placed on a game board because this is where the scene has to happen.
Yeah. And I will say the other thing that I feel about Pace is that I enjoy in a whodunit, or really any story, that when you reach the aha moment, the reason that it feels like a payoff is because you've been given enough tools to figure it out for yourself at just the right moment that the author wanted you to.
Right. You don't figure it out too soon.
You can't figure it out too soon. You needed to figure it out at the right moment.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly manufactured, and now I get it. Oh, payoff. Right. This did not have that. Right. Because it told you who the killer was, and you're going, huh?
Yeah.
And then it explains for 20 minutes why he's the killer.
That's such
20 pages, excuse me.
For this one, that is such I think, a great breakdown of Pace, because you want that elasticity of it.
Right.
Of, the shoe's gonna drop just at the right second that he needs it to, and I'm suspended and in it until that moment.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of several movies that did that for me, or several books that did that for me. And this one at the end, when you find out it is Lombard, who was in love with the wife, and she was supposed to run away with him, but the wife was never going to do that.
Right, yeah.
So he got upset and bumped her off, right? And then he's running around to cover his tracks after that. And it's like at the end, when you get to that point and you get to that realization, you're left with what?
It just kills your pace, because now you're left explaining your own decision to make this person the killer for so long. Yeah. And I do think it's actually 20 pages of
explaining
of a 240-page book of here's why the killer's Lombard.
Yep. And it's towards the very end too.
And there is actually,
when it's your third act and you want it all downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is actually, I remember this because I thought it was so funny. I think right in the middle of those 20 pages, there is a part where the detective Burgess is explaining this, and he even asks Scott, am I boring you? Am I going on too long?
He does say that.
I'm sorry. Am I talking about this too much?
Yeah, because this is he's saved. He's out of death row.
Yeah.
Him and the girl are sitting together on the couch, and Burgess is explaining it all. And he does actually say, oh man, I'm just carrying on over and over again. You guys are probably bored. You want me to go home?
I was actually annoyed when Scott was like, no, I want to know. It's like,
no one else does, Scott.
It's just you, man.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I give, after all of that, I wrote down half, but I'm going to give it quarter pace.
You know what? You're going to make me change my score.
I'll give you the pen first.
Because
you're going to did you do half?
I had 3/4 at pace, because
really?
for a lot of it, I was into the random chaotic nature of the investigation and the retracing their steps and the mystery of why no one could remember this woman.
Right.
And I was called back to it to figure these things out. A good chunk of this was page turnery until we got to the point where everyone that's willing to spill the beans ends up dead. And then I was like, well, this is just, it's
now
just,
you're not learning anything.
It's just anguish. You're just you're just finding the scab and pressing on it more because what I want to know, you're just so. I had 3/4. I'm going to go down. What'd you give it?
I'm going down to a quarter.
Really? Okay. I'm going to go down to half. I'm going to meet you in the middle.
I think I have to do a quarter because pace, I think, was the thing that upset me the most about the book.
Yeah. I'm going to go down to a half.
Okay.
Which will change my. So I went down. So I lost. So okay.
No, we got to sit here while you do that.
No, I got it. I bumped it down a quarter star, so I have to change my final score.
Okay. Well, let's do Prose.
Let's do Prose.
I don't think either of us are changing our score on this one.
I'm pretty much not going to change my score on Prose. You go first. What did you think of Cornell Woolrich's wordsmithing ability?
I gave it a full star. It was fantastic. By far the strongest part of the book.
Yeah.
There were many passages that I was like, oh man, I wish I wrote that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I think it's I think you've said this to me a lot of times. It's the mark of a good author to explain the world in a way that you've never thought about before.
Yeah.
And consistently, every single environment was like, oh, that's such an interesting way to portray
That.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he pulled it out of his hat over and over again. And
Or
it was,
such an easy, quick way to explain a character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even with Scott, in the very first lines of the book, it's like, you can read the first paragraph and go, I know exactly who this guy is.
Yeah. But again, that's because he was dealing with archetypes and it's easy to grab onto.
That's true.
Yeah. But
the explanations of who these people are was interesting enough to me.
Mm-hmm.
Full star.
Okay. That I will just.
I think you read it in another episode, so I won't go back and read it again.
You can read it.
Oh, the night was young and so was he, but the night was sweet and he was sour. You could see it coming from yards away, that sullen look on his face. It was one of those sustained angers, pent up but smoldering, that last for hours sometimes. It was a shame, too, because it was all out of tune with everything around him. It was one jarring note in the whole scene. And then he goes into the environment.
Yeah.
Such an interesting way to
The
use your
environment, everybody
character
going out.
in contrast
Yeah.
to where he is.
Everybody going out to have that night, that date, and
Yeah.
here's this one person. Yeah. Look, I gave it a full star too.
I thought you would. Yeah.
His use of every trick in the book, right? His use of description to build that world, that time, that place with that sensibility and that visual effect. His alliteration, his rhythms, his pace,
Yeah.
his pace of staccato words when he needed them to be sped up and tripping on each other. Every trick in the book that you would use to build something that would make me sit back and go, "Oh man, that's a nice sentence. I got to look at that again." It's just really some beautiful things in there.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful things in there. And for me, like when I pick up a book to read, I want someone that takes the time, every word, the effort is there, every sentence, the sensibility of what they want to get across and how they want to get it across never leaves the page. And that was so present in this. The style is the star of this book.
Oh, I completely agree. Yeah.
The style of Cornell Woolrich's writing is the star of this book. So I had to give it a full star.
I agree. Well, I mean,
So what do you come up with? Add
Well-
all that together. Where are we at on the Phantom Lady? Your bet-losing read.
right before I say the total, I will say this. I would not recommend this book. The prose is the one thing that makes me say, I don't recommend this book, but I recommend Cornell Woolrich.
Woolrich, yeah.
I'm sure there are other
I
reads.
think I would love to read the book that they based Rear Window on.
Yeah. It Had to Be Murder, I
I
think?
think is the name
I
of it.
would love to read that.
I bet that is something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I recommend Cornell Woolrich. So total stars. You're right. I think.
Well, that's a great bet to lose. If
I
you
think
find
so.
an author that you would go, you know what, if you want to experience,
it all comes full circle. And you were asking if it was worth it that I read it. I think it is worth it that I read this.
because now you can say, if you want to experience noir and really beautiful language,
Don't read Phantom Lady.
Cornell Woolrich. But
Read
you
it,
would
read it
say,
Had to Be Murder.
you could say Cornell Woolrich.
I would say Cornell Woolrich. Yeah.
Very fair.
So that brings me. Let me double check myself. That brings me to 3 stars.
3 stars.
3 stars. We've changed our score so many times. I have no idea what yours is going to be.
I only changed my score one time. You got me to change it
Oh,
on.
okay.
You got me to change it on pace. The rest I
Okay.
stood firm on. So I come in at 3 1/4 star.
Oh, you just beat me out.
So I'm a little bit higher than you with a 1/4 star.
You liked the book a little more than I did.
And I feel exactly the same. I would 100%, like I did with you,
Yeah.
say, "Oh, you lost a bet. Well, you know what? You need to read some Cornell Woolrich."
Yeah.
I would 100% do that for somebody. I would be more careful about what book I chose. I don't think this would be it, but I do think there is an absolute solid, rock solid reason of why he is one of the pillars of this genre.
Oh, I agree. I think it would also be something that would be so fun to buddy read.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like to do It Had to Be Murder, like over with some friends on Discord or something, would be so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? This was fun.
Yeah, I had a great time.
We have to come up with another one.
I'm all locked in on Sun Eater the rest of the year.
And for that one, you've got to break your TBR.
Again?
Well, if we're going to do another one,
You're just gonna break my TBR for the rest of the year.
2 pieces.
This is a problem.
That's what I'm here for. Let us know what you thought of the book club with the boy. Let us know if you'd like another one. Let us know if you've tried Cornell Woolrich. Let us know if after this you will try Cornell Woolrich.
You should.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Hit us up in comments. We love comments. We're going to answer everyone as soon as they come in because that's the whole point. We built this channel together. And hit like, hit subscribe. It helps us grow a little bit, helps bring new people in. Every new person that comes in here, that's a fresh perspective. That's a new beating heart. That's a new take on all these stories that we're sharing together, and that makes us all a little bit richer. And the group we have here, if you haven't hit subscribe, maybe you're a Cornell Woolrich fan. Maybe you're a Phantom Lady fan, and you're really upset with us.
You would be.
You would be. But this is your first time here.
Yeah.
Maybe you haven't hit that subscribe button yet. Join this group. Oh my gosh, what an amazing, unbelievable, astounding group of people to hang out with and be a part of. And you can be a part of them not only here, but on Twitter and Blue Sky.
Instagram. Patreon.
Patreon's right down there if you're interested. The
Discord.
book club. And the biggie is Discord.
The biggie is
Even if
almost
you're not a
Discord.
Patreon, there are read-alongs. There are gatherings. There are so many things going on that Discord channel to hang out with and talk books and art and story and how it hits us and changes us. It's an awesome place, I gotta say.
It is. People are able to start their own read-alongs. Start a read-along for It Had to Be Murder. That'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be a lot of fun. We might, if we have time, we might jump in.
Maybe we'll figure something out.
You got time. All right.
Don't hit me.
That's 2 hits. That's two hits for one review.
2 hits for my 2 stars off.
That's right. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back, I think, with Book Club with the Boy because we had too much fun.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Thanks so much for joining us here on
Talking Story.